don't view marketing as a cost, view marketing as an investment. You know, if I said, give me another $1,000 and I can get you another 50 grand, great. Moved from Christchurch in 93, started working for the family business, which was Maxim Corporation. So we printed flyers, business cards, magazines, printed things like the Harcourts Blue Books and Ray White magazines when they were a thing. 10 years at Property Press, and then we closed that in May of 25, and trademe are paying for the services now. So last couple of years at trademe.
Let's go buyers first. What tips would you give to buyers for how to get more out of their next property transaction?
I know realestate.co would say they have the biggest international audience. We would argue that on recent numbers.
We should have got one that's here. Williams.
Yeah, you can get beat up here, or Sarah Woods and I could go at it.
Thanks for watching Home Run. Hope you're enjoying the content. If you haven't already, please subscribe. It will make the world of difference for us and be able to continue to bring epic guests and great content to you.
That's right. And speaking of guests, if you have somebody that you feel like they should be on this couch, put it in the comment section, and also put any questions that you want to ask in the comment section, and we'll make sure it's covered.
Back to the episode. Welcome to Home Run. On this episode, we meet with Jason Hussey. Jason is the head of industry for trademe Property. It's New Zealand's biggest property portal, and he's got a huge amount of experience working alongside the real estate industry. Jason, maybe give us a bit about your background.
Oh, at the very beginning. Moved from Christchurch in 93, started working for the family business, which was Maxim Corporation. So we printed flyers, business cards, magazines, printed things like the Harcourts Blue Books and Ray White magazines when they were a thing. Went from there to Fairfax, did a very similar thing for Fairfax, then 10 years under Pat Houlihan. I'm sure most people listening will know, a bit of a doyen of the industry. So 10 years at Property Press, and then we closed that in May of 25, and trademe are paying for the services now. So last couple of years at trademe.
Gotcha.
So always real estate.
Yeah. What will people listening to the show get from your involvement, do you think?
Hopefully the view of some experience, I guess, and the view of someone. But I'm a pretty pragmatic guy around what works and what doesn't. As I am with our platform, I'd encourage them to use it. If it doesn't work for them, then don't use it. Well, we haven't had too many that it doesn't work for. So
it's a pleasure having you on here. Thanks for coming in.
Oh, thanks for having me.
It's interesting because you mentioned Property Press, so
yes.
you would have seen the transition from sort of paper or analog to digital.
Yeah, for sure.
Just talk us through that a little bit.
I think since I started as a kid, I think we were getting told that print was redundant and no one needed it. I think the beauty of Property Press was it was almost like the internet on paper before the portals really got going, and you had beautiful big pictures, and it sat around in cafes, and it sat around in offices, and and David would know you walk into a real estate office and there'd be a pile of them on the table, and you'd flick through those while you're waiting. I think COVID didn't help us in terms of we came into COVID, we couldn't print it, we couldn't deliver it because of the sort of restrictions. Then, as you guys will know, the market just continued to rocket, and I think a lot of people sat back and thought, oh, hang on, maybe we don't need that as much as we thought we did need it. So we sort of struggled through that a little bit, and then, there's just no doubt that the measurability of portals and the measurability of the digital platforms, it's very, very hard to compete when you're saying, hey, could we have $1,000 a page for this? We print 20,000, we think they go here. When you compare that to some of the data we have and the other portals have around, hey, it goes exactly here, this many people look. So I think there's a place for print and some of that luxury stuff. Like, I think it really does. It makes a beautiful presentation of some of the really beautiful properties we have in New Zealand. It's I think the day of it being a kind of go-to from a classified point of view, so to speak, is probably gone, unfortunately.
I still miss it though.
As do I. I've got a ceremonial red Property Press box in my garage that I sort of look at every now and then, because we pick those up at the end, of course. But so do I, and we had some great times. I think how Pat ran the business and how we interacted with the industry, I think sort of was probably how we're trying to do it now, like that. We're not in the publishing industry, we're not in the technology industry, we're in the real estate industry. You got to get next to you.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, because my core business is doing real estate photography and videography. And when we initially started, obviously property press was a big thing.
Oh, wow, yeah, okay.
For our hero photo to feature on like the front page of the first 2 pages, and we used to be literally above a Ray White office. Our office was above Ray White office. Every time we'd come down, they'll have this property press box. And we'll see our photo, our photo, and the photo that we've taken is like a sense of pride that, oh my God, we made it to the front page.
It's very cool. We used to get massive giggles when you'd get social media from agents where they're flicking through a magazine when they're putting it on social. There's something, definitely something cool about it. But things move on.
Well, what is the equivalent then in the modern era? Because, the front page of the property press, what's the front page of the internet?
Geez, that's an extremely tough question to answer. I guess we have our biggest package, which has 3 photos, appears big, but again, there's nothing kind of in your. It's pains me to say. I don't know if I can think of one off the top of my head that is that. I think, and again, that's why if you've got a $10 million listing in Herne Bay, I'd still be all over the print media, and pains me to say it, but the NZME boys are the guys that have got it now, and I'd be encouraging that vendor to spend some money and get on that cover, because I still think that's value, for sure. Just the day to day, the 3 better and Greenfield, I think those are.
Talk us. You mentioned about the data that agents get. Of course, the agents know, but what metrics should an owner be paying attention to in terms of their choice to market?
So we measure listing views. We've started counting search views as well, because a lot of our fellow portals do the same thing. Listing views are the true measure of engagement, in my view. The amount of time someone is clicking through to the listing, you guys will know from social, there's a lot of numbers around. I get 80,000 impressions and the click-through rate is this. So, we work on, if someone's clicking into it and they're engaging with it, then that's of true value to an owner. So the search view thing is one thing. The listing view is the main. We also measure watch listers and inquiries, so those that have added it to a watch list. I think watch listers are expressing their intent, so hey, I'm going to store that in my list. And I'll come back. We've just this week launched a cool bit of kit that goes with the watch listers, so that now the agents get a couple of opportunities on a platinum campaign to interact with them, so send them a message. And then inquiries it's there and it's important, but my personal view is I think the inquiry metric that we have is probably losing a little bit of its gloss, because I think in this day and age with younger people, I think the inquiry is when they turn up and take their shoes off on Sunday between 10 and 10:30 or whatever the time is. I don't think that the sort of faceless email inquiry of price guide please, or I don't know if those have got as much value as they maybe once had. So if I was an owner, I'd be looking at listing views, which is engagement ultimately. Who's getting in there and reading the text.
Do you see a correlation or a particular ratio of views to watch list ads, and what that performance is, if got like an average performance?
Yeah, probably not a percentage, because again, quite property specific. Like we've had the Cardrona Hotel on the site for the last couple of weeks, and it's just gone
such an iconic.
Yeah, so the listing views are this big, and the watch listers are this big, because people.
It's outliers for sure.
Yeah, for around 3,000 listings views, you can probably expect maybe 250 watches, 250 watches, which if you took out the 10 competing agents, you're probably looking at 240 watches that are legitimately interested. Again, property dependent, so investment stock, you're probably going to get a few more watch listers because they're a bit less emotionally attached and they're banging things into their watch list as they're looking. So you're not a percentage, but I'd say for a normal platinum campaign, we'd expect you to get a couple of hundred watch listers, for sure.
And in terms of actually something that I know exists, which I think is just fantastic, is that watch list report. So you can actually see the property, the subject property, but also the benchmarking in terms of, if you've got 70 watchers on this property, well, 50 of them are also looking at this one and 48 of them looking at this one. That is brilliant.
Yeah, so that's a product that's available to our partners. So again, I guess from an owner's point of view, if you're engaging with an agent that is a partner of ours, then they get access to that stuff. It's an awesome tool for have we got the price right? Is there some stuff we're missing? It shows the top 6 properties that have also been watch listed by your watch listers. So shows the intent of your audience. So I guess in some cases for owners it's probably a bit confronting because it's, hey, we thought we were $1 million, but all of our watch listers are watch listing 700 granders. So
well, that's an extreme example.
Yeah,
but at the same token, like for me as a seller, I like that particular piece of kit because I go, for me to make a decision at what price I should be selling the property, I want to be viewing my property in the context of the market.
Yeah.
Because I think owners by default have a tendency to view their property in isolation. But to be able to see, well, the people, the bulk of the people that are engaging with our property are also looking at these ones. And then I can find out, well, what's that agent pitching that one at in terms of price, and I can go check it out and see and actually make a really informed decision as to what price I release.
And that's the agent's role, right?
To manage those expectations.
The expectations of the vendors and the buyers, and here's where we are. So that watch list report's great with the market insights reports that we have. We have a pre-list report for our agents that, again, if you're a potential vendor, you should be getting some exposure to. So that shows prior to a meeting, a real estate agent can bring up Hillcrest, 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms. It'll show the intent that we have from an audience point of view. So X amount of people are looking, so demand is high. Here's where they're searching price-wise. So they're ladies, they're men, this is what they're looking for. It's that kind of information's...
So who is doing the majority of the looking?
Well, funny you say that because come the end of last year, mostly 40 to 49, which in age, male and female, pretty even split, which you would expect. Since January, that gap's really closed and now the 30 to 39s are ahead. And ahead by a couple 100,000 sessions a week now. So you are
actually a real audience shift.
Yeah, I'll show you. And that says to me, as inventory comes down, the asking prices are coming down still as well. So we've had 3 consecutive dips. Probably shows that the young people are going, hey, maybe now's our time. Interest rates are settling. I think. I'm not an economist and this is not financial advice, but they look like they've kind of hit a point where, you can get 2 or 3 years of certainty. So I think, it's an interesting thing when you have the older and I don't feature on any of those demographic curves, unfortunately. And, I look at it and for my kids, it's great to see that 30s and 39s to 239s are engaging. And
is that probably down to the fact that now the ease of use to what it used to be in terms of technology itself is just, it's very accessible, but it's also quite easy to be navigate.
Yeah, I think so. Yes, save searches. You can get notifications with what we've done with Watchlist Connect. You can get a message from the agent. So half of our business is selling ads to real estate agents and the other half of our business is driving the audience. That's the currency. So a lot of work from our audience team in terms of how do we make this thing easier to use? How do we make search more intuitive? How do we get these properties in front of the buyers? Some of it, perhaps, might also be a shift in the overall demographic of who's moving around. I look, we talked about property press. You go back to that and go, oh, you probably wouldn't have seen a 25-year-old thumbing through that in a cafe, maybe.
Unless you photographed a house.
Yeah, fair. Yeah, that's true. Unless you had a burning involvement.
Wasn't 25.
So, the site's definitely, our objective is to make it easier and easier to use and not more and more complex. But, I think I think the market conditions are what's driving a bit of that demographic shift.
Let's go there. So we've got the disclaimers out of the way. Now we can just go straight to your personal opinions. But you've got a little bit more than just your personal opinions because privy to all the data and see all the different trends. What trends are we seeing currently, and what are your predictions?
Crikey. Hold me to that. So prices still fractionally falling. And when I say prices, we measure a thing called asking price, which is ultimately the sort of estimated sale price in the back end. And it appears to have slowed down. Some areas it hasn't decreased, it's increased. Auckland's obviously the massive market for this country. I don't know if we've hit the bottom. I don't think anyone knows if we've hit the bottom. I guess I look at it and go, interest rates are doing what they're doing, which is sort of stabilising, for want of a better term. You've got OCR cuts, but then banks are reacting pre-OCR announcements anyway. So I think they're kind of forecasting what they think. Interesting. I was on the Gold Coast, like Commonwealth Bank's just reported $10.5 billion profit. Yeah. So it doesn't matter what interest rates do, they maintain it. But anyway, I digress. So I think we've got some stability around lending. I think the massive thing we have looming as a country is probably job security. I think in Wellington yesterday, there's a lot of uncertainty there around government positions, that kind of things. And I think those are things that people factor into their mind. The ongoing cost of living increases. So those things will probably negate any, I guess, massive shifts in the market, because I just think people are kind of, do I really need to move, or can I do this, or can I do that? And you'll know, like I do, I think we're probably heading into a normal market to some extent. So if you look back at COVID, it's where it went berserk.
It's kind of stabilizing itself.
Yeah, I think so. And that's,
although it's interesting to hear that there still has been some incremental softness in terms of the asking prices in the back end have continued to trickle down.
But still not down on, if you go back to 18, 19, you've still done okay. I think if you bought in 2021, then maybe slightly different. But I guess it's, and that comes back to thinking that 2% interest rates were a sustainable thing. And
But I can remember at the time there was the question mark, well, will interest rates get into negative territory?
Well, they did in Japan, didn't they? For
That's true.
And then the interest rates are only a thing if you've got a big chunk of money that's attached to them. And so I think we've had enough time. I personally think that people are in a position now where they can make a decision. As Brian Thompson from Harcourts constantly says, the best time to buy a home is when it's the best time for you to buy a home.
That's good advice.
So if you have to move, move. If you want to move and you can make it work. And
it's important to understand the market trajectory so you can make smart decisions about exactly how you structure those buy and sell decisions. But you shouldn't be delaying your life waiting for the market to get better.
Yeah, I know.
Because you're in a worse position anyway.
Well, if you go back to the 90s, real estate offices had the picture of the guy with the big grey beard that was waiting for the market to turn, And that's, I don't know anyone that's been able to pick the last three cycles. So I'm probably rambling a bit, but I think we've got a bit of stability around the kind of money lending part. I think the cost of living is an issue for a large chunk of the population, and how they, what they can and can't do. And we're probably seeing that with, all sorts of things across New Zealand around purchasing. And, did you ever think you'd pay $19 for a block of cheese, like that kind of, that kind of stuff? Or, we joke about it at home with fuel, I can remember 98 cents a litre, and then they get us up to $2.98 and it comes back to $2.60, and everyone thinks that's awesome. So it's
all a frame of reference, isn't it?
Yeah, quite right. And then I guess we just need wages to match that, and whether the economy can sustain that definitely is a question for an economist.
Yeah. Hey, let's go into the data side of it. What are you seeing in terms of activity on the website? Any advice to people, and also where is the estimates coming into people's decision making?
So audiences for us is relatively stable. So we get a little bit of a dip in this winter months, similar to the market. We probably follow the market to a certain degree. When things are going nuts, people are searching, and so our audience remains pretty stable. I think we've had about 7% growth total audience from last year to this year. So, which is good. We can only assume we've taken that from other places rather than, we haven't generated any more population. As far as, I guess, the data and estimates, and we were talking about it off camera before, it's the estimates are, I guess they're a sort of fraught with danger thing because the audience want them. So the expectation is that if you have a property portal that has some sort of AVM on it, so it has an algorithm that does values, it'd be great for us if the agents put their estimates in there. So they are appraising a property as per the REA's rules. It'd be great if they put those in, which they are more than able to do.
Yeah, I think let's talk about this quickly because I think this is really valuable for people, just consumers watching, but also for those who work in the industry because I'm not sure that people realize they can do that.
So if I was selling my house tomorrow and I had an agent and I decided on my agent and they were coming around, I would, and I know what I know, so I'd be insisting that an update of that estimate, if it is wildly wrong, happened. They can do that themselves, and then you're starting from a happy place. A lot of the estimates are they might be attached to a section that's turned into two, so the titles don't line up. So I'd encourage anyone to check. I think we've got in the region of 900,000 followed homes on Homes, for example. So owners are in there and know every 2 weeks they get an email saying, "Oh, your value's moved." We use CVs, we use recent sales, and we use agent estimates. So the more agent estimates we get, then the tighter the data set we'll get, and hopefully the better the values get. I look across all of the websites, and we're all sort of here and there. As you pointed out earlier, there are some wild outliers. And when you see one of those, we'd love give us the nod and we'll have a look at it.
I gotta just share my experience sitting in the auctioneer's chair. I always consult with my clients, that's the sellers and the agents, and I'll ask them halfway through the campaign, how are things tracking? And if the campaign is not tracking well, one of the first questions I go to is, okay, can I ask, how does the online estimates sit relative to the quality of the property? In other words, are they sitting a bit high or are they sitting a bit low, or are they about right based on what you think? And almost invariably, if they're sitting high, the campaign is dawdling along. So people are paying attention to them. And it makes great sense to address that if you can see it out the gate before you've even gone live, that the online estimates are going to be high. Then addressing them makes really good sense.
Well, and the update by the agent is so important because if you are in an area where there may be 3 or 4 different types of property, you can have a recent sale 4 doors down that can
skew it.
Yeah, absolutely. It can impact yours. So your 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom may be skewed by the 1-bedroom unit that's sold. So again, encourage a seller to ask their agent, "Hey, are we happy with this estimate? And can we update it if we need to?" And the answer is yes, you can.
Do you want to hit a home run in your property journey? If so, make sure to hit like, comment, and definitely subscribe so you do not miss out on any exciting episodes coming up.
Now, back to the show.
And I must confess, I don't know about every single piece of data we've got because we've got ridiculous amounts of it. The big things for sellers, the pre-list report. So we've got some knowledge of who's in their market before they are in their market. That's to your background, Harps, with images. Like, is the demographic searching in Hillcrest 30 to 39 or 50 to 59? Should we have a picture of the kid's bedroom, or you know what I mean? It's the I think there's sometimes we probably don't use as much intelligence in the marketing as we potentially could, and we our customers can access that data and see who's looking at what. And,
does the data get that insightful, Jamie? Like, do you actually, if you would load up 25 photos, does it actually break it down to what photos are getting most engagement?
Yeah, I think we can probably tell that. Yeah, we can certainly tell how many like the lead photographs. So Platinum has 3, for example. You can see which one of those gets hit. It's more of a don't bother putting a picture of the men's workshop if the people that are really searching in that neighbourhood are 20 to 25 or 30 to 35, because they're probably going to want room they can convert because they're going to need the extra bedroom for the child they're about to have or whatever I guess, I think New Zealand, we've probably over time in some cases become a bit lazy around the marketing, and we book a photographer, book a package.
Off we go,
off we go, and then we get some views and people turn up some open homes. And
let's. I'd be really interested to know about your property journey in the sense that because you've worked alongside the industry for so long. It must be hard because you know so many agents. You also know how to spot the good ones. Tell us about your property journey.
So in 2003 we bought a house in Glenfield. In a place where no one really wanted to live in 2003, that had mould on the ceilings and all that sort of stuff. And we had a newborn baby, and I would go to work, and then I'd come home and clean the roof. And then we still own that house today that's got some tenants in it. And then we bought another one in Glenfield, similar situation. And then we now live in Hillcrest. So we've got a 5-bedroom joint there, an older house in the 80s. So we got 4 children, so we needed a big home. I think if I can apply my journey to what I observe these days, and we've our oldest child's 22, is I don't think they are that keen to go to work all day and then come home and clean mould off ceilings and paint walls and all that. But I guess
I'm not sure you were keen either, but you did.
Well, no, I wasn't. Absolutely wasn't. But I guess it's affordability is what. I remember someone saying to me many years ago, it's unrealistic to think that you can own a home in the area you grew up. And if I look at, so if you grow up in Herne Bay, I think it's unobtainable to come out of there at 20 and go, I'd love a 4-bedroom place on the water with a swimming pool. And I think
it's probably not going to be your first step on the property rung, is it?
No, quite right. And I think if the young folk can appreciate that, and I think it's like Pat used to say, don't have to live in the house you own. You're from Palmerston North, the rental yields are phenomenal down there, so buy a home.
Yeah, certainly.
There, and it's everyone's journey's a bit different.
Live where you live. What's the saying? That live where you love and invest where you can afford.
Or where the return is good.
And I watch our children, and you do go, is there a day that they'll get on the, I don't buy into the, don't have avocado on toast, we'll just stop drinking lattes. I don't think that's
Are they on trademe as well?
Our kids, they are. Well, they are. One of them's on there looking at cars and all sorts of other things. But I think the next generation, I think it's being proven that housing's not totally unaffordable because people continue to buy them. And I think if you're prepared to do some of the legwork, like that original house we had in Glenfield is now 13 kilometres from the CBD with a Northern Busway, So all of a sudden, Glenfield's not so
it's more
bad.
accessible,
You look out west, driving here today, there's places that you go, man, I wouldn't have picked a house there. When I first moved to Auckland, we lived in Karaka, it was 25 minutes from town. It's certainly not now, but there's train services. And so anyone that is my 28-year-old self from back then, I'd be going, hey, have a look at it's close to amenities. And if it needs a bit of work, it needs a bit of work. I didn't have YouTube or Google or anything. You just figured out how to do painting and stuff.
So you mentioned about data, and obviously you're probably sitting on wealth of data and on the platform itself. So talk us through sort of, obviously you mentioned what you guys are utilizing. What's the future looking like for that data set and AI, I suppose? Is that something on the radar of how you guys integrating it, or is it at all coming in?
Yeah, it is. It's definitely on the radar, and luckily being handled by people far, far smarter than I. So the AI piece, the first impact to the public will probably be that whole generative search. So it'll get a bit smarter about, rather than filters, you'll probably go, hey, I want a 4-bedroom house and
let me know every time.
Yeah.
Put together a list for me.
Yeah, do that stuff. As far as the business, the opportunities around AI and getting it to generate summaries or getting it to generate sort of, I guess, things for us to action, if that makes sense. Hey, this is happening in this space, or this is how viewers are behaving on these things, I think. And we've got a thing called Kev's Forge. So Kev is the name of the trademe Kiwi. And then Kev's Forge is a sort of an AI, I guess, an AI think tank area where all of our smart guys are. So we've got hundreds of developers that are, their main focus is obviously making the site better, but again, because of the nature of their work, they're really into that stuff. So there's a whole lot of working together. Motors have just recently released this AI where you list a car, so it sort of works you through the process of putting your car for sale and gives you a hand to write the ad, and you know what I mean? It's gives you some demand around what type of car it is. So we may see that kind of stuff in there. So, you're listing your property and it's, there's massive demand for this, or if you say this, if I go back a couple of years, the thing people wanted to know was keywords, so swimming pool. I mean, ironically, the biggest keyword's Auckland property. I don't know why you type that into training, but anyway, so we'd go, hey, if it's got a pool, mention pools, school zones. So I think AI allows us to maybe analyse some of those things a bit better and maybe move a bit quicker in terms of how we bring those to the audience.
Do you see that sort of coming in very near future, or something that's...
I think we'll do bits and pieces probably, and not by stealth intentionally, but I think they'll probably turn up. It's, we're constantly on sort of the product enhancement journey, so we're not, while it is a website and it is, they are packages, we're not sitting still around the enhancements. We try and add to them. So some of the thinking now is, do we give people the option of not just having the 3 photos? Like, do we let people have a video instead of those 3 photos? Do we let them have 1 photo? I like to call it sort of like the red stitching. When you buy a car and you have 3 or 4 options, how do we easily implement that kind of thing? So that's probably where I see it playing the best part. As you can probably appreciate, we constantly get questioned around AI kind of taking us over and cutting our lunch, and surely that'll happen. I think for a portion of the market that is looking for an investment and is worried about yield, and then maybe, I think, but most people, it is a wickedly emotional decision, and they're not going to ask their phone and then click on the first one and then instigate it. They're everywhere. Their
curiosity will still be there.
Absolutely, and so I don't see AI sort of ruining us from that point of view. I don't know if you guys follow Domain, who is a similar business to us in Australia. They've just been bought by a company called CoStar for $3 billion. Like we sort of say, you don't pony up $3 billion if you think it's got a finite life.
Although somebody did buy the Yellow Pages.
Yeah, that is true. The Canadian teachers, though, to be fair. The Canadian Teachers Fund.
I mean, it's a great thing that they had the pension funds, and it's good that New Zealand's got KiwiSaver. Let's hope we don't go buying that.
It's, and when did you last look at a phone book?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Hey, let's go tips for buyers and sellers. You've spent so much time, obviously you in the business facilitate that transactional marketplace for buyers and sellers, but specifically to real estate, because you've got so much experience alongside that industry. Let's go buyers first. What tips would you give to buyers for how to get more out of their next property transaction?
If you, as far as finding the next property, I'd like get in there and have those automated watch lists, like get us to do
the work
for you, and don't discount surrounding suburbs, all of that kind of stuff. It's and I also go have an open mind to what a property can look like. I guess I look at where we live in Harcourts now. When we bought that, it's an incredibly poor advert for portals, because we drove past, we were looking at another one, and there was a sign pointing down the street, and down we went. But and they had a rumpus room downstairs, which for very little money we put a wall in and turned into a kids' lounge, we call it, and another bedroom. So it turned that place from 4 to 5, which was perfect for us because we had 4 kids. So I'd encourage buyers to think about, if you spend 100 less, can you use that 100 to make the home more like what you want. And I don't know, think a bit wider, probably. And then I think for sellers, it's that cliche, you can't sell a secret. And prepare your place in the. No, thank goodness now we no longer have signs with a picture of the house on them. That's good. So that's progress. We used to walk up to a sign and go, "Oh, cool, it's the same house."
It's quite good if you have a photo of the backyard.
Or something that you can't see from the road. Quite right. So get the right agent.
How do you get the right agent?
Well, you come to trademe and you look at agent profiles and you see who's doing the business, I think. So we talked about Property Press before. I think one of the great things about Property Press is you could see who was doing the business. You'd flick through and hey, man, there's 7 pages of their stuff. They must know what they're doing. So we have claimed sales for agents. So they're in there. You can see their success. You can see what they're doing, see what they're not. Get a few of them round to your house and find one you gel with that also gets the results. And then don't view marketing as a cost, view marketing as an investment. If I said give me another $1,000 and I can get you another 50 grand, great. And then that's, to me, that's
Well, you said before that seeing the sign pointing down to the house you end up buying wasn't a great advertisement for portals, but the reality is actually you need all of it.
It's quite right. And exactly what we used to say at Property Press, I'd never say just spend your money on this thing or just spend your money on that thing. I think you need to spend your money on as much as you can. And don't let a couple $100 be the difference between success and failure as far as a campaign goes. You just need that one person in the room at an auction or the old days it used to be they'd say it in the Property Press on the Wednesday and they're in the auction room on the Friday, and that can still happen even with the portals. But
there's a lot of obviously sellers out there that would be budget conscious, right? Or or for whatever reason they might be going, this is what we can afford from whatever situation they're in. So if there is a restricted budget, then you might sound biased there, but what is the category of what's absolutely important when it comes to marketing? What are the must-haves? And then you kind of work your way down to what's nice to have.
I think you need a sign. For definitely. And I think you need trademe. We have 5 times the audience of our nearest competitor, so I'd challenge anyone to say not saying you can't sell it without it. Absolutely not saying that at all. I think if you're going to put your eggs in an audience basket, I think our one's probably the basket. But then I would also, and it may be a compromise on what you do with us to cover some realestate.co.nz as well. And those guys there do a great job, and they've got a portion of audience as well. And that's probably where I leave it. I look at social and I go, hey, social's, it's an economic thing. It's a couple $100. You get a big, people aren't searching on social media for homes to buy. They're whizzing past them. We were at a thing last night. I think someone was saying a second and a half to capture someone's attention.
Can you do something clever though, where if someone's clicked through to the trademe advert, you're then serving them ads on social for that property?
That's exactly what we do, David. So we've got an audience extension product that leverages that. So anyone that has exhibited the behaviour of a buyer in the last 30 days on our site, we use that audience data to serve the social stuff up. So for a platinum package for ours, we have a thing called Social Boost that comes with it. So for 24 hours, so it's in Herne Bay. These people have expressed an interest. There's a high likelihood they'll see it over the next 24 hours. So that's, and maybe it's because I am old, I'd say I don't call that the social, but I know it is on social, but I'd be reluctant to just pay $500 to put my home on Facebook, for example, because I just don't think that's, the numbers show us that people are looking on portals for.
What are your thoughts in terms of, obviously, like with the portals, as you mentioned, you've got obviously a very intent audience. And then on social, you've got these sort of passive audience that come across. They're not actively searching, but they're coming across a property.
Yep.
And they both might be rightly or wrongly as strong. And it might be that social actually generates the awareness, and then they're going with an intent potentially, or directly from that social ad going directly to the listing page, for example. Have you got an opinion on that?
A personal opinion?
Both.
I think my personal opinion is I think the agents they do quite a good job of social and coming soon video, what it might be. I think if they get that right around the targeting, then I think that probably covers the social element. I guess I still look at it and go, we're going to provide you 3,000 views over a 3-week period, let's say. So there may be a few outliers on Facebook that trip over it, or like I did in the analog term, drive past the pointer. But I still think that the numbers show us that the bulk of the audience has saved searches, is receiving notifications. With the app we're doing some smart stuff around push notifications. So even if you've looked at some stuff in Hillcrest or Northcote and something's happening, an auction may be coming soon, or we'll push to those people. So
do you want to hit a home run in your property journey?
Please like the episode, hit the subscribe button, turn on notifications, and enjoy the show.
We do a bit of that. We do a bit of that push stuff that's not specifically social media, but again, trying to get to that. Hey, you've expressed an interest. I've yet to see social be the be all and end all of marketing a property.
No, it's absolutely not. I think it's almost kind of comes in the category of nice to have. When you work through that list of what's the must, and obviously a lot of the agents we work with, trademe is by default sort of it's a must have because we need to have our listing shown. And it's interesting you mentioned one of your close competitors being 5 times less in terms of audience, but they've started to perk through as well. What do you think is sort of the key differentiator from your perspective from sort of trademe and where your competitors are?
Yeah, see, it's a real tough one. Like, obviously, real estate, you're going there for real estate. I think we've got a very dedicated audience that also come to trademe property for real estate, I think, but I'd also argue we've also got the people that are looking for a car or looking for a job where we have the opportunity to capture them as well. So I'd say that's probably one of our differentiators. The other is we've got the most stuff. So, we've got the largest inventory across the platform. So we allow private sellers, which continues to be a very small amount of the total market, but they're able to list on the portal. So we have the most property and we have the biggest audience. I guess they're probably our differentiators. Our passive market is probably those people that are looking at a vehicle that then transition into looking to a garage to put it in.
and how does your sort of reach sit differently to, let's say, real estate? Because I think those guys obviously, they do have an international reach as well.
Yep.
How does that differ to trademe?
So we put all of our listings go on to 8 portals offshore. So I think it's realtor.com. There's one in India, one in Thailand, one in Singapore, I believe. So we generate a bit of audience that way. So those are found on those sites and come to us. I know realestate.co would say they have the biggest international audience. We would argue that on recent numbers. So we've had...
we should have got Vanessa here.
Should have what?
Vanessa here. Vanessa Williams.
Yeah, you can get beat up here, or Sarah Woods and I could go at it. But again, it's about bringing the people to the property, and it's great to have an international audience. I think that probably really shows out for them in a place like Queenstown, where you've got a lot of Australians buying. Now we don't profess to be the international portal. It's if you think you're going to sell it to someone in Japan, I'd probably advertise it somewhere else. So it's where, and I think you'd probably just got to go through the numbers of international transactions to maybe go, is that a thing? I think in Australia, in Queenstown, definitely. You've only got to drive through Millbrook to see them. That's a lot of Australian owners in there.
It's just so handy.
Yeah.
It's just about as easy to get there as it is from Auckland.
Some of the work we're doing with SEO and getting so every property has a page, getting that on Google, we hope that will do great things for some of that exposure, because the natural reaction is, hey, houses in Queenstown or houses in Jacks Point, or I want to live in Christchurch. And if we can get a bit smarter about how we present Trade Me listings at that point.
That's interesting you mentioned that, because obviously Google tends to have a lot of in-market audience that they define from search behavior, which is what we tend to use for marketing across YouTube or Google Ads. And sort of how we normally look at when we're educating our agents when they're doing their marketing is kind of going, yes, have a good balance of the portals, but when you look outside to actually target those passive hunters, we can actually target in-market audience and then go and really push the video format here, and then the sort of the photo format here, because we see most amount of traction here. But the idea is to generate as much awareness as possible in the short window that you've got. But then we know the portals tend to play the key role in just getting people when they're actively looking. That's where they tend to go.
Yep. Yeah. Well, and as we touched on before, you've got to do as much as you can do, right? It's
and you got to do a good job with it. I was thinking before when you were talking about selecting an agent, go on, look at who's doing the business. But I would say go and look at the job they're doing with the marketing. It's not just volume; it's also the quality. Have a look and see the way that they're marketing it, and actually meet the agent, see what they're like to chat to. Are they helpful? Are they going to get on side with the buyers? And
I think Open Homes is the best place to interview an agent, in my view. And how many don't ring you back on Monday when you? We. This is many years ago now. I remember a particular office that was very adamant that Property Press didn't work, and so we offered the manager of the office, well, let's run some ads, see what happens, and no charge, we'll cover it. And then I went out with put my baseball cap on, and off I went, and had a Property Press wrapped up them carrying on. Not one single. They asked me where I'd seen it. And I'm like, well, that's cool. You can't say a thing doesn't work if you can't validate that. Then, to your point, David, I think that's the Open Home's the best place to audition an agent in my view. Do they phone you back? That's highly likely how they're going to behave when.
Yeah.
And what a great question for agents to be asking. What attracted you to the property? Yeah. Where did you find it?
Yeah,
you got a house to sell. You're a...
Yeah. But where did you find it? Such a key question, because it's the same thing. Like when we do the marketing for agents, I'm like, here's all the stats you've got. Here's the demographic that we're seeing most engaged. The easiest way without you even asking question is, if you were saying that demographic of 39 to 44, are you seeing that through the door?
Yes.
People that are coming at the Open Homes, that's probably an easiest match to do. So you can go, am I seeing that age group coming in? If it is, then something is right. If it's not, question us. Why not? Hey, we're seeing very young demographic, but actually people who are turning up are the grandparents. Why?
Yeah, well, they might be funding it. There's all sorts of conversations.
But then you can ask, right? Like, it's a good indicator of where the platform's working on
for sure.
You.
And get an agent that will have the brutal combo about the mouldy pillar or the, you know what I mean? And you would have seen it like I have. You bowl up to a house and look and go, ugh. But for $100 worth of pansies and a water blast, that the other bit of advice to home sellers is divorce yourself from the fact that you live in it or the fact that you own it, and go, hey, what would make me want to come in here? And I think so often, like the staging's obviously a massive thing now. Do you need to get it washed? Do you need to get it painted? And I think there's a lot to be said for an agent that'll have those.
Yeah, presentation is key.
Actually, I think we need to clean it. We need to fix that.
You need an agent who's going to tell you what you need to hear, not necessarily what you want to hear.
Exactly right. Yeah, I agree.
What about methods of sale? And do you have any kind of insights into data from to justify that?
We do know from our data that, for instance, timed campaigns, so whether it's an auction or a deadline, or they conclude quicker than PBN or priced. So
having a deadline works.
Yes, yeah, we know that having a finish point, works. At the very least, having a finish point to the process works, and works better than putting a price on it. We were talking about it earlier. Every situation is different. I guess the seller's got to be comfortable with the method. I think auctions the method, and I think it's the method irrespective of the market condition, because I think we as a people attach a lot to what happens on the day, and I think we those that don't totally understand probably go, if you haven't sold it under the hammer, that's a failure, and I don't want to be involved in a failure. And I think those that do understand the process know that if you don't sell under the hammer, that it just is part of the process. So I like auction method myself, but again, it's not for everyone.
What would be your reasons for that?
For liking it?
Yeah.
I think it gives a period of time that I think it cures some angst for both buyer and seller. So we know that in 3 weeks' time or 4 weeks' time, it's
decision to make.
Yeah, we're going to be. You're creating a bit of urgency with those people that they're coming to look at it, so they know if you're looking at it on week 3, you've got a few days to get your ducks in a row. And I like the competition nature of, probably as you guys do it. So you get a few people in a room that want to live somewhere, and I think you can realise some really great results. And ultimately, that's an agent is responsible to the vendor and to get the best result that they can. Now, buyers don't like to hear that, but unfortunately, that's the
I think on the flip side, from a buyer's perspective, at least if you are competing for it, it's not blind. Yeah,
agree. Yeah. It's exactly right. You can look your competition in the eye. And, as you'll know, there's a whole lot of strategy around bidding at auction. I think the single biggest one's just got to be the one that makes the last bid, right?
It's very true.
And how many times you see people go, it's not worth $1 million, and then someone buys it for 1.2. It's well, it is to them. And I guess that's it's worth whatever someone will pay for it. That's probably what I like.
And talking of prices, it's great that you mentioned that. Like, obviously, I guess from a buyer's perspective, it's always frustrating when a lot of the properties are auction based, and they probably don't. They've got an indication on the price, but they actually don't know.
Yep.
So somewhat gives them harder task to get their ducks in order to a degree.
Yep.
And I know that obviously you guys have got the ability to be able to search within a price.
Yes. Yep.
Now, do you guys have any data in the back end that kind of shows sort of houses that finish above that price bracket?
Oh, so in terms of the search range and then where they sell above? I off the top of my head, I think in most cases about 15% of them sell outside of the search range.
Most within range.
Yeah, so most of it, and David will know like I do, most successful or good agents are pretty good at conducting an appraisal that's pretty accurate, and then that generally flows on to the search range. And I think no one will hurt anyone if they sell it for a few hundred over the search range. I think that's a great result. And if you do create that competition and get I think the detrimental thing is not having all of those people in the room and discounting people. And I guess we've seen agents over the years that have. I was telling you guys a story when we looked at a place in Western Springs years ago, and it was I remember the guy specifically saying, if you haven't got $1 million, you won't own this, and it sold for $850. And we would have been in a position to pay maybe $900. So that vendor's missed out on the 50. And so I guess we don't see anyone pitching them low and watching them go, if you like. We don't see anyone manipulating search ranges. I think in most cases the agents are doing the best that they can for the property, and in most cases they're pretty accurate.
Quick question. Have you subscribed to Home Run yet? Please like the episode, hit the subscribe button, turn on notifications, and enjoy the show.
In terms of how the finished sale price ends up, unless you end up with 3 people in a room that really want to buy it, and they're going to live in it for
My personal take in terms of advice to buyers is I think, man, if you're relying on an agent or the automated valuer for your perspective of value, you're at risk either of missing out on a property that you could have bought but you didn't because you thought it would go for too much, or on the flip side, paying too much for something because you relied on that rather than your own estimation. I think if you really don't, get a buyer's agent or get a valuer, or spend enough time, look at a few properties that you kind of like and are the sort of thing you want, watch the campaign, see where they sell. If you're benchmarking it yourself about right, great. If it is an outlier, ask the question why. And I would say to auction, like, I think it happens more often that it goes for more, which is why it's popular with sellers. But at the same token, if I was a buyer wanting to buy a bargain, I'd also attend auctions because, I don't know, like 1 out of 15 goes for a crazy low price as well. So if you educate yourself, you can make a good decision. And I think the same is true for sellers, but they seem, by the time someone gets to the point of being a seller, they seem to be more well-educated than some buyers are. So that would be my recommendation to a buyer. Make your own, to form your own opinion on price. And then that way you can judge a property on its merits and feel comfortable about the price you're paying.
Good advice. I mean, there's so much information about why. Like,
I know, how do you dissect it?
There's values. There's there's visibility of auction, which you didn't have before. You can
keep
go
an
back
eye on the
into
market.
companies' sites and look at who's done what and who's sold.
I
what.
love that transparency.
You can see have people bid? Have they not? Has it been like it's?
I say this to agents also in terms of delivering appraisal, because we get some big results, and that's not it is a market result, but also, like, I know because the agents say to me, like, man, that was huge money. And okay, so you've got this result now that is a huge money result that's in there. Some other agent's going to be doing an appraisal of a property and they're going to say, well, your house is worth 1.2 because that one just around the corner sold for 1.2. But the agent who sold that property had appraised that one at $1 million to $1.05 million. And really and truly, sure, there's a little bit of upward pressure in the market for that moment, but actually it hasn't fundamentally changed the market dynamics. And there'll be exactly the same thing in a downward direction. That property sold for 900, but it was actually 1-1 all day long. It's just for whatever reason it was sold cheap. I think if you've got an agent who can have some perspective on the sales that have happened and know the campaign there, certainly if you're picking someone, they know what's going on in the market.
Which is, if you go CMAs in the old days with some settled sales numbers for Ryan's and a document. Now you've got live. The place across the road from one of our places in Glenfield sold at auction. I'm on the phone, we're sitting in the car, you can see so someone bought it in May, tidied it up because it looked quite different, tidied it up, and then auction again, sold again. You can see all of that. We've never had so much information as a consumer. Right? Like in the old days with newspapers, I used to say you had the monopoly on scarcity, with journalism. So you couldn't read a story anywhere else, but now, and I think, and that's probably the good agents have adapted to that, because I think in the old days the agencies had the monopoly on scarcity. They had the recent sales. They knew who'd been on the market for long and who hadn't, and they had all this. Now there's just no hiding. It's that information's.
And talking of information, then in that case, and obviously there's lots of that, what's probably the most common step that you see tends to get missed out if to fully utilize a platform that you have?
Sheesh, step that gets missed out. Well, I'm big on this estimate thing. I'd like to see the first step of any campaign be the agent enters the appraisal range to tidy up our valuation model. That'd be one thing I'd like to do.
But do agents do that?
No. Some do, but some don't. Some it's...
As I say, I'm sure there are some agents who don't even know they can do that.
Some it is absolutely a part of bringing a property to market. They update the CMA estimate, whatever you want to call it, get that accurate to their appraisal, which is great for us because it brings sorts of a lot of other things out. I can't think of one particular step. I think, a lot of people miss a step here and a step there. I think, you're a photography expert. I think quite often we don't put the right pictures in the right places. We know the attention spans are waning. You've got a limited chance to. So I think back to the old John McGrath days, where you you wouldn't have a pool cleaner in the pool, and the gates would be open, not closed, and some of those real simple things, which David touched on around marketers and agents. It's
the psychological aspects of how the campaign's perceived.
Yeah, how you consume this stuff, I think there's still a bang on. Wow, that's beautiful. Rather than a picture of a bedroom with an unmade bed in it. You know what I mean? And I think sometimes, and it's where I was going before, that sort of cookie cutter approach. I think sometimes we whack it on the internet and hope for the best. When
it's on trademe, she'll be right.
Yeah, a couple of small tweaks could. Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, a couple of small tweaks could really. Drive the audience, I guess, a little bit harder, and then the inquiry.
Have you seen any interesting trends, like particular sorts of photography doing well, or things that do's or don'ts?
The only trend I've seen is the time to catch that attention is diminishing. So, I don't have any hard data on the photography or what we should do, but all I know from diminishing, and as you will with videos, right, diminishing attention, you need to catch them quick, and that's. Has it got a pool is it on the northern slopes of Remy or the view of Rangitoto? Like, don't put a picture of the kitchen. Put one of that. If you can get in the pre-list report that we can provide you, and you can see that these types of people are searching on this type of range, can you make an assumption around
what they like?
Should the heading be something like great for kids, or I guess it's
so utilize data.
I think so. Yeah, so
pre-available for you to make.
Yeah, so we have an agent hub called One Hub that every licensed agent can have access to. The level of partnership with us dictates the level of access they get within that. But the pre-list report, for example, is available to our partners. That it's generated in 30 seconds. You don't have to have an address. You just have to have a home and a style of home. So I rang David up, hey, you want to sell your house? Yeah, come around and do an appraisal. I can look on Google and see what it is. So I can turn up at his house and say, I know that 40 to 49s are looking at this moment. They've got on average about $1.5 million to spend. They're looking at 3 bedrooms. They're not too fussed about bathrooms. So, hey, let's, if I win the listing, let's make the marketing about workshops, or do you know what I mean?
I think that data's good, but I'm going to challenge it slightly and just say I think that there's a risk of taking generic stuff that might be very true for that suburb, but missing the beat on what the target market's going to be for the property. But I would say actually correctly identifying who the buyer is, the persona that they have, and then crafting an advert that's going to appeal to them, that is genius and should be being done.
And change it.
Exactly. If it isn't working, tweak it for sure.
Week 1, the views are terrible. So we have another report that tells an agent how their things are performing in comparison to others in their market. So, listing views, are they above average? Are they below average? That kind of thing. So if you've got something, the average is here and it's down here.
That's where maybe was it Ken you called the Kiwi?
Kev.
Kev, the AI might
can get in there and go, hey,
that copy shit.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense for this house.
And like the beauty of the internet is you can change it. And you can change it then and there. I agree with
optimize. Fantastic. No, that's fantastic. And like, what do you say? So how would that differ for a private seller? Can they do anything? What limitations do they have?
They don't get the reporting that an agent would get. They don't get the quality of advertisement that they can't get the prominence that an agent purchased ad would get. So they'd get some reporting around who's engaging with their listing, but unfortunately they would be buried under a whole lot of real estate agency listings. We make no. The real estate industry is where we get the bulk of our listings from, and our product is heavily skewed to work for them and their vendors rather than someone that's trying to. I don't have a particular aversion to private sale, but I think history has shown us that real estate agents and agencies seem to be able to generate a higher value for a home than someone selling their own. I think selling your own creates all sorts of issues around you. You don't like the idea that someone thinks your garden's ugly and all those sorts of. And in most cases, the average home seller is not equipped to negotiate with a purchaser or get the best result, in my view. Again, just my view, not financial advice. And I think, the fact that private sales haven't ramped up or rampantly overtaken agency sales would speak to that. Other than my mother, she's a classic private seller, but she is very much, I know I sold it for more than the agent said I'd get, but it's been on the market for 18 months.
The market got better.
Anyway, so the private sellers just they can't get as much prominence as using an agent to be able to with us.
Mate, if there's something that you wish the industry or the public knew about trademe, what would it be?
That's a good one. I wish that the Watchlist Connect is a feature we've just launched that we're real excited about. So I wish / hope everyone knows about that. We're doing a bit of a push on that at the moment. So it's the ability to communicate a meaningful message to the watch listers of a property. And I don't mean something that could have been in the ad copy, but I mean something like, hey, 10 registered bidders, auction in 2 days, or just passed in 1.2. Live bid vendor looking for X, or whatever it might be. I really hope the industry grabs hold of that and in a sensible way, because it's a big deal for us because we don't want to burn the audience that's watch listing this stuff. The research has shown us that the audience loves it as well, so they like being communicated to. In the test, we had a couple of really good examples out of Christchurch where stuff that had been on the market for a long period of time. So people watch list it, probably forget they've watch listed it in some cases, and then get an alert and go, oh wow, I forgot about that. One of the Harcourts agents in Christchurch sold a property off the back. So I really hope people embrace that feature, and I also hope they sort of, I guess, keep coming back and having a look at some of the other stuff we're bringing to market, I guess, selfishly.
Outstanding. Hey, well, Jason,
fantastic.
Been fantastic having you with us.
Yeah, thanks so much. It's been a pleasure, really good.
Thank you, mate.
Thanks.
Thank you very much. Thanks for coming in.
Yeah,
it's been really insightful. Hopefully we'll get you over soon when you get the AI bit and launched, and then we can talk about that.
I'll bring an expert with me.
Oh, fantastic. Okay.
Pleasure.
Thank you so
Thanks
much.
Yeah.